Greetings, fifth graders. This is your weekly introduction video for Wonders Unit 4, Week 5. It's also got a little bit of the introduction for some of the things we're going to be talking about this week. So let's take a look first at our weekly concept, which is expressing yourself in a positive way. And our essential question is, how do you express something that is important to you? And in this picture, you can see this young man is, I guess he's probably an artist. He is painting a mural to help express his ideas or something that's important to him. And you can tell it's a mural because if you look down at the bottom, you can actually see a doorway to someplace. So he's using his creativity and his talent to express something that is important to him. So we have some poetry terms this week, and there are four of them that we're going to be taking a look at. And the first one is lyric. And when poets use lyric poetry, they describe their feelings about nature and seasons and that sort of thing. And it's usually written in first person, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. The next one is alliteration. And alliteration just means that at the beginning of a word or two words next to each other, they had the same beginning consonant sound. So in that example, we have lose, lamb. It's kind of fun to mess with alliteration when you're a writer because you can do things like silly Sally saw several ships or something like that, and just have some fun with the play of words. The next one is meter, and meter is basically the pace of a poem. It usually has presence in poems that have rhythm and rhyme to them, so you'll hear it more in things like Dr. Seuss and that sort of thing. The last one is stanza, and stanzas are just simply the lines and sections of the poem. So poems can be organized into stanzas. These are the groups of lines. Each stanza is a unit or section of the poem that expresses a key idea. Meter refers to the regular pattern of sounds in the line. So we'll take a look here at an example of stanza, and you can also kind of hear meter in it as I read this. This is called Snow Day, and I want you to be listening for how the meter or the pace of the poem goes along, and also to be looking at the groups of words. They look kind of, there's actually a space between each one of the stanzas. In the winter, it's every kid's dream, as snowflakes begin to appear, that suddenly there'll be a blizzard, and they'll cancel school for the year. Though most kids are willing to settle, and I'm inclined to agree, they could merely close school for one day. One day off would be just fine with me. A day free from all forms of homework, a day without science or math, when you leave all your school books at home and run out the door with a laugh. So that you can hear the meter in there. And when we talk about meter, it's really that beat of the poem. And every poem has a meter that's different. The only thing is that when you get to free verse, those poems usually don't have them. So let's take a look at this example from the great Dr. Seuss. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. So you can hear how my voice changes with the pattern, the meter, especially if you look at the words that are in bold. Those are the ones that have more stress to them. And here's another one for meter. This one's called Annabelle Lee, and you can see the stress syllables are the ones here that have kind of an up and down line. Those are the ones that have the stress on them. So this is called Annabelle Lee. Edgar Allan Poe, he is a famous American poet from South Carolina, I think. And he usually is known for writing some poems that are a little bit dark and kind of spooky and scary, but this one isn't too bad. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And those little kind of scoopy marks there, those are the unstressed syllables in that poem. All right, lyric poetry is our next term. This one's from Shel Silverstein. Notice that it does have rhyme and a meter to it, so you can actually kind of hear the beat of this poem as I read it. It's called Don't Tell Me. And remember that a lyric poem expresses the poet's thoughts and feelings. It's usually written in a regular meter, and it may be written in stanzas, sometimes not. They might also contain alliteration and rhyme, and it's usually written in first person so that it can express the author's feelings and emotions. So here's Don't Tell Me. Please don't tell me I should hug. Don't tell me I should care. Don't tell me just how grand I'd feel if I just learned to share. Don't say, it's all right to cry. Be kind, be fair, be true. Just let me see you do it. Then I just might do it too. So in that poem, the poet is encouraging someone else to act as a role model for the person saying the poem. So again, that's an example of lyric poetry. So let's move on. We do have some other vocabulary words this week, and you need to write them in your notebook. There are only 4 words this week, but there are also those 4 poetry terms that you might want to jot down as well. The first word that we have this week is barren. Barren is an adjective, which means it is a describing word. Something that is barren is lifeless and not able to grow anything. And the sentence that goes along with this picture is, we traveled across barren land without seeing a single tree or bush. The next word that we have is expression. Expression is a noun, and expression is when we put our thoughts or feelings into words or actions. It also can mean when you are showing an expression on your face. That usually means that you are putting a look on your face that reflects your feelings. This sentence is, James wrote songs as an expression of his beliefs about friendship. Our third word for this week is meaningful. It also is an adjective, and something meaningful has importance or a purpose. And you can tell that it's an adjective because it ends with the suffix ful, which means full of meaning. So the students had a meaningful discussion about how to protect the environment to go along with that picture. Our last word for this week is plumes. It's a noun. Even though it ends with an S, and we typically think of that probably being, possibly being a verb, this one is a noun. Plumes are typically big, fluffy feathers or feathery parts that you find on a bird, but it can also mean a type of cloud, or as if you were to see plumes of smoke rising from the horizon. You might be driving through Kansas in the spring and seeing the prairies that are being burned off, and you would see big plumes of smoke in the distance. So the sentence that goes with this picture, though, has to do with those feathery parts that are on birds, and it says, each year peacocks shed their beautiful tail plumes and grow new ones. So remember, you need to write these words in your notebook for future reference. Your teachers will be checking those, and make sure that you get that done. If you need to go back and review any of these words, you know that you can rewind or go back on the video and watch what you need to catch. Otherwise, this is the end of your video, and I hope you have a great day.